Okay, people have asked for kind of like a state of the channel update. So it's the second day of 2016. So most of my numbers for 2015 in YouTube are pretty much done. So I didn't do one in 15 for 14. So I'll begin first with discussing briefly 2014. Those of you who don't know, if you do things on YouTube, you do get a portion of the ad revenue. So we're going to look at this is the 2014 numbers. I had a total watch time of 610,927 minutes. So that's about 1 year and 59 days worth of time people spent watching my show. The amount of money that I earned in 2014 was $292.60. If I want to break that down using my state's minimum wage, which is Illinois, which is $8.25, and factoring in tax. To make that much money every month, if you work a minimum wage job for 4 hours. A little over 4 hours. So if I were to work a minimum wage job for 4 hours a month, I would make the same, if not more, than what I do doing this show. That is 1 hour a week of minimum wage work. People have asked, how long does it take for me to do certain videos? Versus videos, depending on characters, are about 1 hour to 2 hours in research time. And that's hitting the different... If it's a character that I know, it's easier. If I'm less familiar, then it's hitting different wikis and the different other people that do verses to give me some sort of an idea of what other people have thought of. So I'll do the top 5 videos, and this is in minutes watched. My review of a Serbian film was 46,594 minutes. And then the rest are all Marvel vs. DC fights. Again, I'm looking at just the top 5. Gladiator vs. Superman at 21,773 minutes. Thanos vs. Darkseid, 20,853 minutes. Superman vs. Silver Surfer, I'm starting to see a pattern here, at 18,239 minutes. And last one is Captain America vs. Batman, 11,565 minutes. So those are the top ones when it comes to, and of course you can do demographics too. So I'm predominantly seen in the United States, and my gender breakdown for 2014, 91% male, 8.8% female. So thank you, my 1 in 10 female watchers. And that, of course, was 2014. Now we'll do 2015. It allows you to do 1 year and the next year. So time actually went up. 622,433 minutes. So now I'm at 1 year and 67 days. So it actually went up. Now here's where it becomes even more depressing. Divide that by 12 times that by... Oops, sorry. The amount of money that I made last year is $214.80. So that works out to about 3 hours. So I'm still spending about 6 hours a month doing the research for the versus fights, beyond everything else. I've tried doing other ones. Ironically, what made a lot of hits really quickly was the reaction videos. So I might probably do some more of those. I have also thought, I have some basic software to do the video capture stuff for doing some video games. I might play some older video games just to see if there's any sort of traction with stuff like that. I'll probably pick either games I was good at. These will all be raw playthroughs, which is how I do these things. I might also go with some more of the older Marvel and DC related games. I'm a fan of Mugen, so I might maybe work some Mugen stuff in, but I haven't quite decided yet. So here is the top 5. Serbian film, 35,578 minutes. Superman vs. Silver Surfer, 17,018 minutes. Thanos vs. Darkseid, 16,827. Gladiator vs. Superman, 15,781. Thor vs. Superman, 13,599. So as you can pretty much tell, my top 5 stayed the same from 1 year to the next. The only difference is Captain America, Batman drops down quite a ways. Ironically, I don't have down Marvel versus DC, so I might actually adjust those to say Marvel versus DC, so that way then maybe they'll get a little more of a jump to it. So I'm still going to do the channel, for the most part. 2014, it was nice getting that amount of money because it actually did allow me to do some things. That ended up being enough money to cover what I spend in Netflix, the WWE Network, as well as give me a little bit extra to go hit a convention or two. With what I made last year, yeah, that didn't even cover going to see The Undertaker. That is one of the more difficult things about doing these sort of shows. When people have asked, well, if you should do more editing, well, like I just said the number, it's in the course of what I do in this, it's 3 hours of minimum wage work would be the equivalent of what I do every month. That's why I do these in these single takes. It's easier for me to just go, I just upfront work, just shoot the review, shoot my review or shoot my versus fight. Don't tweak anything and just put it out there. All the time that I were to spend, fine-tuning these sort of things, people have said that allow my channel to grow much faster. If I'm not looking at my channel almost like doubling in size, if I were to spend an additional half an hour per versus video, just doing tweaks or doing reshoots, that would mean that I'm now looking at closer to, 8 hours every month doing these. And in order to have it really make enough fiscal sense, I'd almost need to see something closer to double to triple what I currently make off my off the views. And I don't picture a small tweak doubling the amount of people who watch my shows. Those of you who do, awesome, thank you. When it comes to how do I choose the versus ones, yes, the next upcoming fight is going to be Knuckles versus Proto Man. Those are difficult fights because I can't use my standard criteria. People have asked about actually redo some of the earlier fights now that I've changed the way I do the system. I've thought about it, but in the past I've done reboots of other ones, and then I get conflicting bits and pieces from it. So I still plan on doing the show. I do think last year I did a lot more shows. So I went from just doing Raw to doing, from the wrestling standpoint, it was always Raw and the pay-per-views. Then I started adding in the NXTs, the Table for Threes, Breaking Ground. So some of those I might just remove. And they're really not getting a lot of watches, and teach me to watch them whenever I want to. I think my phone might be going off. Okay. So actually, now people have asked how often do I read comments. Okay, this course is from Sonic Man 1006. Not really a fan of Deadpool, but I admit the M because that's about as far as it stops on my phone. So occasionally I also read them on my iPad. I do try to read the majority of comments that come through. It is difficult. Last year I had 2,800 comments. I try to read a lot of them. I really do. It is difficult to read through all of them. Lots of people who have asked for different versus fights. A few of them are just very difficult for me to try to work through. And as you can tell, when it comes to those people actually watch, they're the old ones. They're the ones that everyone does. They're the big impressive fights. Some of the more unique and bizarre fights, like Marvel vs. Capcom characters and Mortal Kombat vs. Street Fighter, those are fun ones to do because they're actually a lot easier. I had actually thought about maybe using, instead of just verbally describing them, actually finding them in a Mugen format, and then kind of using that as a bridge, so that I could do my portion first, and then go for a watch feature in a Mugen, do the screen caption, and then just let it do its thing. The show, for the most part, is still fun. It is difficult, Last year my daughter turned 1, this year she'll be turning 2. And the time I have to do this show, as well as, I do play an MMO. So the time I have to do that is pretty much from, well, as well as, work out, do dishes, get breakfast ready in the morning, fold, do all the basic husband stuff, is pretty much from about 9:30, 10 o'clock to about 11:30 when I go to sleep. So I kind of have a 2-hour window, 1 to 2 hour window, every single night to try to do some of this stuff. So that's not a lot of time to try to keep everything moving. So certain characters, I know I've had people say, how there's no Galactus fights, or Mogo, Ego, where's mine the one above all? How am I going to fight the Spectre? Those characters are a lot more abstract and ambiguous, so they're difficult to work with. I have tried to do fights with Galactus, and said, well, does Galactus move fast? He can't. He's a gigantic individual. Galactus has successfully fought people like Thanos. He has successfully defeated Darkseid. He's definitely a heavy hitter, but he's a hard character to try to work with. Because given his size and given his attributes and his abilities, it's like, well, could Superman beat a Celestial? Pre-Crisis? Maybe, potentially, kind of. What about Anti-Monitor versus Galactus? One's a Planet Eater, one's a Universe Eater. They're difficult fights to do. People have also asked if I would, instead of doing the versus fights in a very standard format, if I instead would try to verbally do storyboarding. Well, I don't do a script, so this is all free range. People have asked how I do the versus fights. I have a spreadsheet where I just put little X's in the columns. So it's all basis memory. So it's me doing the research, memorizing it, and then trying to do this entirely live on a first shot. Did I make mistakes? Yeah. I'm well aware of that. So the comment section is for. For all the ums and uhs, I know if I cut those out, I could probably trim my videos a little bit. But I'm not a fan of the weird herky-jerky, you know, my head's moving around a little bit here and there, the little micro motions. So that was pretty much the basis out of this video. I wanted to get that out there. You know, I do make a very small amount of money off of this show. I know there are people who say this is what they pretty much do. For me, this is a hobby. I still do work a regular 40-hour-a-week job, which now my previous employer, which is 5 minutes away, they closed their facility, essentially. So I'm 40 minutes away one way. So, you know, I'm not coming home to do some research. I'm actually at the office the whole time. I will be traveling more, which will probably put an impact on how easy I can do some of these researches. But still plan on doing this to the best of my ability. I will still try to do the 1 versus fight a week. Some weeks there'll be 2, but I'll try to keep it to about 1. It'll be hard in February. You know, I've got to, you know, I might maybe take that month off just to kind of keep things kind of on the fresher side. You know, with the problem with doing these is it's the exact same 9 almost every single week, and does get kind of repetitive from my standpoint and from the viewing standpoint as well. That's why I will try to do some freshening up here every now and then. I do have a long list of amalgams that people have tossed out to me. I'm trying to figure out how to do certain characters. Like, I do think a Green Lantern Spawn fight would be interesting. So maybe last fight I would take some of the previous fights, amalgamize those characters, and go forward. You know, and an Apocalypse Brainiac would be interesting. You know, so I'm still planning on doing the show. It's just, it is difficult to do. It's hard to keep up a level of quality that I want to try to constantly maintain. And when the numbers show up and the money drops, you know, I pretty much lost about 1/3 of the revenue from the previous year. So it does kind of make one of these sort of, takes a lot of time. I'm not really getting a lot from it. I get a lot from a mental standpoint. This is a nice, I'm a scientist by nature, so it's fun to do the little research bit and try to kick everything out. So I don't spend as much time as I want to on a lot of the fights, because it's more of a, you know, the time that I have to do it is short. The window I have to do them is even shorter. So that's a brief update of how the channel's been going for the past 2 years. This year, I am trying to see if I could work in some of the video game capture stuff. I've been watching the Cinemassacre piece that Mike Matei has been doing, and I noticed they had an issue when it came to, that's probably my iPad telling me what was said on my phone. And they had certain things where you couldn't get through Splatterhouse. I loved Splatterhouse when I was younger. I don't know how good I'll be now as like a raw playthrough. But there are certain games I think interesting to do. Lots of wrestling games, some of the comic book related games. So I'm going to try to see if I can work those in, maybe 1 a month, maybe 1 a quarter. It'll depend on how much time I get to work on some of those. And that's pretty much the way the show's going to be going for a little while.